I married the man of my dreams, but my nightmare began the day his mother moved in. I was starved, humiliated, and forced to wash clothes until my hands bled, and he did nothing. One day I packed my bags, grabbed my child, and walked out. On the other side I found freedom, dignity, and peace. You won't believe what I went through. Growing up without a mother is not easy. There's always an empty space in my heart I keep trying to fill. So when I went for my youth service and met him, let's call him the prince, I thought maybe God had finally answered my prayers. I was young, full of love. I wanted to build a home, peace and laughter, children running around. I didn't care about his family's wealth. All I wanted was love, someone to hold my hand. And I thought I had found it. But sometimes, the hand you hold is the same one that will push you into the cold. We didn't rush into marriage. No, we started as friends. For months we were inseparable. We talked every night until morning. He made me feel special. He would say, "Callista, you are different, you are humble." He told me about his wealthy family and the way he described them. I thought they were kind people waiting to accept me. We dated for a few months and honestly, it felt like a dream. If I had a headache, he was there. If I was sad, he would comfort me. So tell me, why do some people change the moment the ring enters your finger? Looking back now, the signs were there. He talked about his mother a lot. My mom said this, my mom likes that. At that time I thought it was sweet. I told myself, if he loves his mother this much, he will treat me well too. But I was wrong. I didn't marry a man. I married a man who could not stand without his mother. Our wedding was beautiful, like something out of a movie. For 7 days after the wedding, I felt like the happiest woman alive. But on the 8th day, everything changed. I was in the kitchen, humming happily, thinking about our future. Then suddenly, I heard a car. Before I could even react, the door burst open. Before I could react, the door burst open. No knock. I rushed to the living room, and there they were, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, standing there with big suitcases. My mother-in-law didn't greet me. She just walked in, sat down, and looked around like she was inspecting a hotel. Then my husband walked in, smiling. He said, "Honey, look, Mama and Sis are here to stay for a while." My heart dropped. No one told me. No one asked me. In my own house, I became a stranger. From that moment, the war began. Every morning they sat on the porch. They never helped. No cleaning, no cooking, not even clearing their plates. They just crossed their legs on the table and blasted the TV. But the worst part, their voices, the whispering, the laughter. I could hear them from inside the house. "Look at her, she thinks she's special. She thinks she belongs here." They criticized my clothes, my hair, even the way I walked. I was married into this house, but treated like an intruder. Sometimes when I walked past they went silent, and just stared. That silence, it breaks you slowly. I was in my own home, but I felt invisible. You already know. I lost my mother. So in my heart I made a decision. I told myself, "Callista, be patient. Treat her like your own mother." Maybe she was just being protective. So I tried. I gave them everything. I woke up early, cooked, cleaned, served. I even used my small salary to buy things for them. I would smile and say, "Mommy, are you okay? Mommy, do you like this?" But nothing I did was ever good enough. If I smiled, I was fake. If I stayed quiet, I was proud. I was trying to fill the empty space in my heart with someone who had no love for me. I gave her my heart, and she treated it like nothing. Now, let me tell you about the kitchen. In a normal home, the kitchen is the heart of the house. But in my home, it became a battlefield. I would wake up before sunrise, just to make sure I cooked something special for my mother-in-law. One Tuesday morning, I decided to prepare a big pot of coconut rice. I used the best spices. I even spent my own money to buy fresh shrimp. The aroma filled the whole house. It smelled like heaven. I was proud. I carried the food to her with a smile and said, "Mommy, I made this specially for you." Do you know what she did? She didn't even taste it. She pushed the plate away so hard, the rice scattered all over my clean table. Then she stared at me and snapped, "Who told you I eat rice on Tuesdays? I want proper beans. Not this nonsense." My heart dropped. I stood there for a moment, speechless. Then I turned back to the kitchen, tired, hungry, and started cooking all over again. While she sat outside, watching, and started cooking all over again. While she sat outside, laughing, wouldn't stop. When night came, that was when I feared the most. A wife is supposed to find comfort in her husband. But for me, night was when I felt the most alone. I would sit quietly on the edge of the bed waiting for him. When he came in, I would gather courage and speak. "Please, your mother is hurting me. I feel like I don't belong in this house." But he wouldn't even look at me. He would just scroll through his phone. Like I wasn't even there. Then he would say, "Callista, you are too sensitive. Stop complaining about my mother. She is old. She just likes things done her way." I would be crying, my voice shaking, my eyes swollen, and he would simply turn off the light and sleep, leaving me alone, in the darkness, with my pain. My husband kept telling me, "Don't worry, Mama will only stay for 2 weeks." I held on to that promise like it was my only hope. Every day I counted. Day 1, day 5, day 10. I kept telling myself, just a few more days, everything will go back to normal. But when day 14 came, nothing had changed. Instead, they brought more bags, more clothes, more belongings, and arranged everything as if they were settling in for good. I went to my husband and asked, "I thought you said 2 weeks?" He got angry immediately. His voice became loud. "Is this your house? This is my house. If my mother wants to stay for 2 years, she will stay." That moment, everything became clear. The 2 weeks was never real. I was working full-time then. I would leave the house early in the morning and come back late in the evening, completely exhausted. But every morning before leaving, I made sure to cook a large pot of soup or stew, so that when I returned, I would at least have something to eat. But every day, I would come back, go to the kitchen, open the pot, and find nothing. Empty. My mother-in-law had started inviting her friends, 5, 6, sometimes more. They sat comfortably in my house, ate all the food I cooked, and left nothing behind. When I asked, "Mommy, where is the food?" she would just laugh and say, "We were hungry." A good daughter-in-law should be happy to feed her mother's friends. I went to bed hungry while they sat in the living room, laughing with full stomachs. I started losing weight. My hair began to fall out. I was breaking, slowly. So I went to someone I trusted, a woman I called my mentor. I cried and told her everything. But her words did not save me. She said, "Just be patient. Keep serving. One day your husband will see everything." So I went back home and tried even harder, not knowing I was sinking deeper. Now, let me tell you the day my heart really started to move out of that house. We had a beautiful modern washing machine. I used it to keep the house running because I was working a full-time job. One Saturday morning, I gathered the bedsheets and my husband's work shirts to start the laundry. Suddenly, I felt a shadow behind me. It was my mother-in-law. She didn't say, "Good morning." She just yanked the plug from the wall with force. She looked at me and hissed, "In my son's house, we don't have lazy women. This machine is for those with no strength." In my village, a woman shows her love for her husband by the foam on her hands. She told me that the machine was spoiling the expensive fabric of her son's clothes. She banned me from using it. She forced me to take a big plastic tub, sit on a small stool and wash everything: her heavy, thick blankets, my sister-in-law's piles of party dresses, and my husband's heavy jeans, all by hand. My knuckles became raw. My skin started to peel from the harsh soap. I would sit there for hours, my back breaking, while she sat on the porch watching me like a slave master. It wasn't enough that she ate my food, she started controlling how I ate. One evening, I was so hungry I could feel my stomach touching my back. I served myself a normal portion of rice and 1 piece of chicken. Just as I sat down to take the first bite, she walked into the dining room. She didn't ask, she just grabbed my plate. Looking at the food, she laughed that wicked laugh. "Callista, no wonder my son's bank account is shaking. You are eating like a giant. Do you want to finish all his money with that big stomach?" She scooped my rice back into the pot and took my chicken for her daughter, leaving me with just 3 spoons of rice. I was 24, working, earning my own money, and yet I was being starved in my own home. I had to lock myself in the bathroom and cry so they wouldn't hear me. I went to my husband, showing him my raw, bleeding hands from the laundry. "Look at what your mother is doing to me. I am hungry, tired, and hurting," I said. Do you know what he did? Nothing. He didn't touch my hands or offer a bandage. He just sighed, that long, annoyed sigh that makes you feel like a burden. "Callista, my mother is just trying to teach you to be a strong African woman. You are too soft. You're always complaining. Why can't you just be happy we are all together?" In that moment, I realized I was married to a stranger. The man who once protected me was now holding the door open for my abusers. The final explosion happened on a Friday. I came home from work to find my mother-in-law had invited 10 people over. The house was a mess, dirty plates everywhere. I was exhausted, but she pointed at the sink and told me to start washing. I don't know what happened, but something inside me snapped. I didn't scream or fight. I just sat on the kitchen floor and started laughing, until tears streamed down my face. My husband ran in, and instead of asking if I was okay, he looked embarrassed. "You're acting like a crazy person in front of the guests," he said. My mother-in-law loomed over me. "See? I told you she's possessed. She's not fit for this family." That was it. My mother-in-law didn't wait for me to speak. She looked at her son, my husband, and her voice froze like ice. "I've had enough of this girl's drama. Today a choice must be made. Either she packs her bags and leaves my house, or I will go back to the village and tell everyone you chose a stranger over the mother who gave you life." I stood from the floor, heart pounding, looking at my husband. Surely he would tell her she had gone too far. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Then he looked at me, not sorry, just angry. "Callista, you heard her. I can't let my mother leave. Maybe it's best if you go find somewhere else to stay until you learn to respect this family." He chose her. Truly, completely, he chose her. When he said those words, "Maybe it's best if you go," the world went silent. It felt like a bomb had exploded in my ears. I looked at the man I had slept beside for months, the man I had cooked for, prayed for, and loved with all my heart. He didn't even look like the man I married anymore. He looked like a stranger wearing my husband's skin. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. My pride, crushed for months, suddenly stood tall. I walked past him, past my smirking sister-in-law, and past the woman who had ruined my life. I went into his bedroom and pulled out my old suitcases, the same ones I had moved in with just a few months ago. I realized I had brought love into that house, but I was leaving with nothing but bruises on my heart. As I packed, my eyes fell on the gold necklace he had bought me for our wedding. Expensive. Beautiful. For a moment I reached for it, but then I stopped. If I take this, I am taking a piece of this poison with me. I left it on the dressing table. The designer shoes. The bags. I took only my clothes, my child's things, and my dignity. My mother-in-law stood in the doorway watching like she was at a movie. "Don't think you're taking anything that belongs to my son," she said. I looked at her steadily. "Mommy, keep the house. Keep the money. But you can never take the piece I am carrying with me today." She hissed, but for the first time her voice no longer made me shake. I was done being afraid. I walked out of that gate with my child in my arms and my bags in my hands. I took a taxi to a small, dusty part of town. I found a one-room apartment. The walls were peeling. There was no air conditioner, only a small fan that clicked all night. That first night, I sat on the floor and cried until my eyes were swollen shut. My child slept on a thin mattress and I thought, "Callista, what have you done? You were in a mansion and now you are here." Then I realized something. I went to the kitchen for water and no one followed me. I sat on the floor and no one told me to get up. I was poor in pocket, but for the first time in a year I was the queen of my own space. About 2 weeks later my phone rang. It was him, my husband. I thought he was calling to say he had kicked them out, or to beg for my forgiveness. But no. He said, "Callista, the house is a mess. My mother says the new girl doesn't wash the clothes right. If you come back today and kneel to apologize to her, I'll let you return. I'll even buy you a new phone." I laughed so hard I almost dropped the phone. He didn't miss his wife, he missed his slave. He didn't want a partner, he wanted a laundry machine. I said, "Tell your mother to wash the clothes herself. I'm busy building a life." And I hung up. Life as a single mother wasn't easy. I worked my job, came home to cook, cleaned my small room, and cared for my baby. Some days I only had enough money for one good meal, but that meal tasted better than all the feasts in that wealthy house because I could eat it in peace. I started to see my skin glow again. The hair that had been falling out grew back. My heart, long under attack, began to heal. I realized my mentor was wrong. God didn't want me to stay and be destroyed. He wanted me to leave so he could rebuild me. I was 24, alone, but finally, truly alive. You know, people see a big house and expensive cars and think, "She's so lucky. She married into money." But here's what I learned in that mansion. You cannot eat gold when your heart is starving. You cannot sleep on silk when your spirit is whipped every day. I lived in a house with a gate worth more than my father's salary, but inside I was a prisoner. My husband's wealth was a cage. Every gift he gave felt like another bar in my cell. He thought providing money excused him from giving respect. He believed that because his family was big, I should be small. Never let the glitter of a man's bank account blind you to the darkness of his character. If he can't stand up to his mother for you, his money will only give you a front row seat to your own destruction. I want to look into the camera and speak to women like my mother-in-law. Maybe you're watching. What? I'm asking you why. You were once a young bride. You once had a woman try to love your son. Did you forget the pain of being a stranger in a new home? When you sit on that porch and gossip about your son's wife, you're not protecting him, you're destroying his happiness. You're ensuring that when you're gone he will be alone, because no woman can survive the poison you feed him. You may have enjoyed your marriage, or maybe not, but that doesn't give you the right to steal hers. A son is a gift to the world, not a weapon against another woman. Release your sons. Let them grow. Let them be husbands. And to the husbands, especially the one I left behind. You called me asking me to come back and kneel. You thought your mother's pride mattered more than your wife's dignity. Listen, a man who puts his mother's wickedness above his wife's peace is not a man. He's still a boy looking for comfort. When you took those vows, you didn't marry your mother. You married me. You promised to be my shield. Instead, you became the arrow that struck me. You lost a woman who would have worked with you, built with you, and stood by you, all because you were too afraid to tell your mother she was wrong. I hope the house is quiet now. I hope her tea is hot enough. You traded a queen for a servant, and you will never find another Callista. I live in a small apartment, no porch, no fancy table, but it's full of light and laughter. I cook and wash my clothes freely, singing as I go. I'm 24 and a survivor. My value isn't in a man's name, it's in my hands, my heart, my mind. I work, I save, I raise my child to know respect is the minimum. I am no longer the girl crying in the bathroom, I am the woman standing in the sun. If you're stuck in your own kitchen war, remember, you are not crazy. Pack your bags, take your piece and walk into the unknown. It's better than a house full of hate. Thank you so much for journeying through this tale with me. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this wisdom, and subscribe to join our growing family of storytellers. Your support truly means everything. I'd love to hear from you. Which part of the story resonated with you most? And let me know which part of the world you're watching from. I read every comment and they truly keep me going. See you in the next story. I love you all. God bless you. Bye.